Welcome to another edition of 3 The Hard Way. As always, we got the fellas in the house. We got Coach Rodney Young in the house, and we got Mr. Terrence Austin in the house. Great week of sports, fellas. Great week of NBA basketball. How you fellas doing?
What's going on, gentlemen? What's going on, folks out there in radio airwaves?
What's happening, 3 The Hard Way Nation? Hey, we gonna build on this. Let's get it done. Let's get it going. Let's go.
Let's do it. Hey, I really appreciate all the feedback that we've been getting, the emails that people have been sending out about our show, topics that we should touch on, topics that we should talk about. And we always going to take, any sort of feedback from the fans. You guys want to hear us talk about certain topics, just hit us up. Send an email through. We may talk about it on the next show, but just keep giving us that feedback. Fellas, let's talk about the NBA playoffs. Man, there have been a lot of craziness. I got to talk about my T-Wolves first, because my T-Wolves pulled something off last night. I didn't see that one coming. As a coach, I think your success is dependent on if you can bottle a lot of focus and a lot of energy into every game. Odds are you're going to be one hell of a coach. When you look at the Minnesota Timberwolves last night, I was really proud of the effort, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Anthony Edwards stepped up, and he was that superstar that everybody says he is. The thing that always perplexes me as a coach is, where was that effort like for the last 2 games? All of a sudden, they got a sense of urgency. Coach Finch said something to that squad to get them going, or maybe it was just the leadership in the locker room. I don't know. But that team looked completely different last night. So fellas, when you look at that series, it's 2-1 now. Obviously, OKC still has the hammer, but the Minnesota Timberwolves sent the message last night that this series is not over. What are your thoughts about what you've seen so far in 3 games, and then more specifically game 3 last night?
Let me go first, Rod. First thing I'll say is, going back to last night's game, in the second half, I was a little concerned about the T-Wolves, coming out flat. But they kept their foot on the accelerator, kept it going, kept it moving, which was a great sign. Now, what happened in those 2 previous games, I don't know. I don't know if it was that loud crowd on top of that swarming defense by the Thunder. A little bit of coaching. SGA getting all the calls.
Yeah.
He knows how to live at the free throw line. So, yeah, those first couple games, I tell you, Minnesota it was like that they weren't, ready for that big stage, okay? But again, getting back to last night's game, coming out in the second half, they kept the foot on the accelerator, and they need to even have the foot on the accelerator now, and they ain't even playing, to tie this thing up, okay, and make a series of it. Because OKC may be a better team. However, the way that they handle Minnesota those first 2 games, they're not that much better. They're not. They're not that much better. So again, I hope that Minnesota still has their foot on the gas and comes out, tomorrow night playing just like they did last night. So that's my take. That's what I'll say. Go ahead, Rod.
So, watching a bit of it yesterday and even the first 2 games, you sometimes got to realize that there are certain teams that don't understand playoff basketball.
That's a good point.
And I think, Minnesota really didn't understand the severity and the next level that you have to go to in playoff basketball. Now, some will say, okay, well, they've been there, yeah, but you still got to go through your pangs. That's what happened to the Cavaliers. I don't think they realized what true playoff basketball was all about. Now, Terrence Shannon Jr. was a spark. He outscored SGA by himself, okay? And all the Minnesota Timberwolves needed to do was get one. It's going to be Ant, okay? But once again, this is the maturation process that Anthony Edwards has to go through. But they also see now that Oklahoma City is beatable. They can beat them, okay? And they just needed to get that one. Now, am I going to say that Minnesota's going to win the series? I'm not going to go that far. But all you had to do was get one, and they got it. So now they got to go, to OKC, and now they got to put that thing together, okay? They got to, because they have the pieces, between Ant, between Nas Reed, Mike Conley Jr., they have the pieces to compete. The thing that Oklahoma City does very well is those dudes play defense as a team. They defend the ball with some tenacity. But now that the Minnesota Timberwolves have gotten off the schneid, if they could get this next one, yes, I know it sounds crazy, but we got a series, okay, when it comes to getting that next one. And one thing we know, growing up in the streets of Cleveland, Ohio, pressure bust pipes and make diamonds, okay? So if Minnesota can get this next game, the pressure falls. Yeah, the pressure falls on Oklahoma City because people are thinking Minnesota don't need to be there. But if Minnesota can tie this up 2-2, now there's going to be a sliver of doubt in OKC. Yeah, am I rooting for Minnesota? Yeah, that's because my boy down here, he a Minnesota guy. So I got, I'm rooting for the T-Wolves, but I just want to see a good series. But great job for Minnesota getting off the schneid. Now let's see if they can put another one together.
And I'm rooting for Minnesota too because I'm not ready for Oklahoma City to win it at that young age yet. I'm not ready for them yet. Y'all ain't paid your dues yet. So I'm putting for the T-Wolves just for that reason.
But could that also be the Cavaliers got eliminated. You kind of
that's part of it too.
Yeah, okay, all right. A little therapy session on 3 the Hard Way. Let's do it.
Oh yeah. Rod and T, you guys make some great points. I go back to the point that Minnesota, they really don't know playoff basketball yet. But my pushback on that, because I always said, man, if I wasn't coaching, I probably would go into sports psychology so I can understand the mind of an athlete. Like I don't understand, even if you're inexperienced and you get to this point, the one thing that you can control is your energy, your enthusiasm, and your sense of urgency. You really can't control how many times you put the ball in the basket. I remember when I was a player, I was not as talented as a Maurice Green or a Donald Jolly or Arnold or Arlo Ponder or a Clint Hall, rest in peace. I was not as talented as those guys, but I went into every practice and I went into every game with a sense of urgency. And the bigger the game, the harder I played. And the one thing that stood out about this last night to the Minnesota Timberwolves should be, this is what you're capable of if you just focus on those elements of the game. I mean, the defense was box office last night. The extra effort was really good last night. And then Anthony Edwards and the role players really, really came to play last night. So I was really proud of them. I'm with you, Rod and T. I'm not ready to say that they're going to win the series, but if there was a light at the end of the tunnel last night with that game, the Minnesota Timberwolves woke up.
Absolutely.
To be able to play in the Western Conference Finals. So I'm really, really proud about that.
And they need to stay awake.
They need to stay awake, man. They need to stay awake. Then on the other side, you got the Eastern Conference Finals, fellas. And that game versus the New York Knicks. I mean, the Knicks, hey, there you go. The Knicks gave it away, a la Reggie Miller, iconic choke. Fellas, come on, man. What are your thoughts about that game, the Indiana Pacers and the New York Knicks?
They did choke. However, in addition with them choking, Indiana took that thing too.
They took that thing.
They took it because how would I put it? New York was doing everything that they needed to down the stretch. They kept scoring. You know what? Indiana doesn't miss shots, man.
No.
Yeah.
No.
They don't miss shots. They don't miss shots. They make shots. How would I put it? They don't get spooked. They stay in it. Shame on them for saying Haliburton is overrated. He ain't overrated. That kid comes up big.
Yep.
He comes up big. Now, I don't like the little snarky things he does on the side. He's somebody I want to punch. But, hey, he comes up big, man. He comes up big. So, yeah, the Knicks choked. However, in addition, Indiana took that thing too. And just to get to tonight's game, if the Knicks lose tonight, stick a fork in them. I think that the fork is already halfway in them as we speak. Yeah, they lose tonight, just stick that thing in there. They're ready for a meal. They're done, man. They're done. But getting back to your question, or your statement, L Train, I didn't know Indiana was that good. I really didn't. Yeah, they beat our hobbled Cavs team. I don't know if the Cavs would have beat them if they were at full strength. That Indiana team, there's just something about it, man. Is it the coach? I don't know. But they're New York lose tonight, you're done. They're done. Go ahead, Rod.
Watching New York, choke game one away. And then, watching, Indiana, basically the Pacers have peaked at the right time. And, because during the regular season, they were, in the middle. But you got Rick Carlisle, who is an absolutely fantastic coach. People have to understand, Rick Carlisle, came from that Boston Celtics culture because he was a player there with Bird and McHale and those guys. And so he understands how to win. And even when he was in Dallas, he understands how to win. Rick Carlisle I think he's underrated as an NBA coach. He's done a really good job. The spoon that stirred the coffee is that Tyrese Haliburton. And, Tyrese Haliburton, to me, is another underrated individual because I still don't understand why the Sacramento Kings traded him. They drafted him and then traded him. I still cannot understand that because if they'd have had Tyrese Haliburton, can you imagine Haliburton and De'Aaron Fox in the Sacramento Kings backcourt? That's crazy. But they traded him. And so he's gone to Indiana. He is the unquestioned leader on the Pacers. He's got a grit about him. He has a unconscious nature. He doesn't matter. Do you realize that even though it was a 2-point shot, he stepped back to shoot that 3 or shoot that where it was a 2 to shoot that in that juncture of the game? That took incredible guts.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they won't let his daddy in the arena, so he's probably playing better because of that too.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. And so I think the New York Knicks' biggest problem is they're too Jalen Brunson heavy. Everything runs through Jalen Brunson. And in the last couple games, especially game 1, Jalen Brunson was in foul trouble. Mm-hmm. So who is the next guy to step up? You understand? We look at the Cavs when Donovan wouldn't be on the floor. We looked at Darius Garland. Well, when Jalen Brunson goes off the floor, who is your go-to guy? Is it OG Anunoby? I don't think so. Is it Josh Hart? Okay, who's your go-to guy? So I think what's going to end up happening, I think Indiana's a deeper team. I think Indiana's playing at the right time. And I think Indiana's a better team, okay? I just don't see the Knicks coming out of this hole. I just don't. And I could be dead wrong. I'm not a Knicks fan. Don't get me wrong. I love seeing the anguish on Stephen A. Smith's face. I love that. I'm absolutely enjoying that. Spike Lee. I'm enjoying just watching just the utter
Tracy
agony.
Morgan.
Yes, just the utter agony that's going on in their faces. But I think this possibly could be a sweep, gentlemen. If not a true sweep, then a gentleman's sweep. I can see Indiana doing it. They have just clicked at the right time. They really have.
Yeah, when you look at some of the concepts that the Indiana Pacers run, I don't know if you guys remember way back in the day, the Loyola Marymount team in college that had the running
Hank
gun.
Gathers and Bo
Hank
Kimball.
Gathers
Yeah.
and the boys. And then if, for a little, three to Hardway fans out there that want to research this, look up a team called Grinnell College on the men's basketball side of things. They run a system similar to that Loyola Marymount. They want to get up 100 shots a game. They want to shoot about 40 to 53s. Now, the Indiana Pacers are not to that extreme, but they play with some of the same concepts. So the reason why that's important and the reason why I bring it up is because the Indiana Pacers, they are going to keep coming at you every second of the game, looking for their shots, being aggressive with their shots. So as soon as you take your foot off the gas pedal, guess what? They gonna get you. And you've seen it in several games right now. It's a hybrid system, but it's the same concept. So they are a team that can score points. They're going to be hard to beat, especially if you are a defensive-orientated team, and that's where you hang your hat because they're going to accumulate points because they're so shot-heavy. So it's really hard to shut down them on the offensive side of the ball. I'm not trying to open up old wounds, and I don't want to play the game of what if, but if the Cleveland Cavaliers would have beat the Indiana Pacers, how well do you think they do against the New York Knicks, fellas? Do they win that series against the Knicks?
Seeing how good this Indiana Pacers team is, yeah. If they would have beat the Pacers, yeah, they would have beat the Knicks. We had the Knicks number all season. Yeah, all season. So, yeah, we would have gotten them. I think so. I think we would have. Matter of fact, I don't think so. I know so. Yeah, we would have gotten them.
Yeah, if they'd have got past Indiana, they sweep the Knicks. They sweep the Knicks 4 games, because the Knicks had no answer in the games they've played against the Cavaliers for Darius Garland. They had no answer. Darius Garland showed that that Jalen Brunson could not defend. He can score, but he couldn't defend. And that's another thing that Tyrese Haliburton, because they're trying to cross match. But every time they're seeking out Jalen Brunson because they realize Jalen Brunson can't guard. He can score with the best of them, but he's not what you call a lockdown defender. So that's what Indiana's doing. I mean, they're dealing with their bigs, because right now you got to figure Isaiah Hartenstein, who's now at Oklahoma City, was a big loss to the New York Knicks, because they have a tough time defending inside. Miles Turner, who's able to step out now and hit that outside shot, but he can also post up inside. And Mitchell Robinson, he's working hard, but he's working alone. You know, I mean, Josh Hart is trying, but Josh Hart's not big enough to be in there with those bodies. So, but to answer your question, yeah, if the Cavs were healthier and they beat the Indiana Pacers, they sweep the Knicks.
And Rod, I want to highlight something that you said too. Indiana is peaking at the right time, because I watched the NBA from start to finish. And at the beginning of the season, they were struggling on defense. They were playing half tail ball. They weren't doing anything. And they were no threat whatsoever. And now they done hit the stride. You know, I'm an old baseball man. It kind of reminds me of my Cleveland Indians in '97. We were just mediocre.
Great point.
Yeah.
Made the playoffs as the wild card, and then went all the way to the World Series. So you hit it right on the head. They have peaked at the right time, and they're on the top of the Empire State Building. That's
Well, I call it the LeBron effect, and the reason I incorporate LeBron is because if you look at the last few years, whether it's been in LA, whether it was in Cleveland, LeBron would coast during the regular season, because for him, the regular season didn't matter. It was get me to the playoffs. Once you got me to the playoffs, now that King James would kick in, and you can even watch it. Yeah, it was a switch that he would click on, and you can go back and look at the old Cavalier footage and look at some of the Miami Heat stuff. He coasted. And so I think Boston tried to do that this year. That's why they didn't chase the number 1 seed. Boston tried to do that. It was just unfortunate that, you know, Jay went down. He went down, and, you know, with his Achilles tear. But teams now are jockeying for position. That's why. And now that the Cavaliers were the number 1 seed and then got eliminated, the question is, does that tell you, does the number 1 seed really matter? You know, does home court advantage really matter? Because they had home court advantage and lost it in game 1, you know. So, yes, Indiana they peaked right at the right time. And that's what wins you NBA championships, is when you peak at the right time. Not in the beginning of the season. Of course, Cavs won 15 straight. Okay. But Indiana peaked right toward the end, because I believe even, and you can check my numbers, before going into the series with Cleveland, they had won 12 straight. They had won 12 straight prior to going into the game with the Cavaliers. So they're just peaking. They're peaking at the right time.
Just like I'm a baseball fan, the Detroit Tigers right now are the best team in baseball, okay? But it's early. There's a team that's going to win the World Series that ain't nobody talking about.
Talking about right now. Yep.
I know they the best right now, but the guards then took 3 or 4.
3 or 4
right now.
3 or 4 of them, so far,
Yep. Shout out to my guy Vocal Vike. I was on his podcast about a week and a half ago, and we talked about that exact subject in terms of seeding. How important is seeding? And I think you guys are right. I don't think it's as important as people think, but there's a little bit of important to it, man. You know, just being on the road, traveling, being able to sleep in your own bed, create your own itinerary. There are some pros to that. But I think you do, to your point, I think you do have some athletes, some coaches that hang their hats on just being at home. You still got to play the game.
Right.
You still got to play the game. So if you're going there and you're unfocused, you are going to get caught. So I think you're right. I don't think seeding matters as much, but I do think that there's some validity to it. When you look at this past week, man, I want to jump back to SGA. He was named MVP this week. You know, I've heard some mixed rumblings about it. maybe he should have got it, maybe he shouldn't have got it. I think a lot of the focus has been on, the fans last night at the Target Center was calling him free throw merchant, free throw merchant, free throw merchant. And so there's been a lot of criticism about the flopping and the referees giving him the benefit of the doubt in terms of fouls called. I still think he should have been the MVP of the league. That's just my take on it. But do you think all of the foul situations should have taken away from people determining whether or not he should be MVP of the NBA or not? Is his reward or award well-deserved in your eyes?
It's well-deserved, but he has put him on the map as far as being someone who lives at the free throw line and is getting away with all of the flopping, because that was a topic, this week on the Odd Couple. They were talking about it. Now, yeah, hands down, he's deserving of it. He's deserving of it. But again, he's, living at the free throw line and getting the calls his way. To me, it reminds me of what James Harden, got away with.
Yep. Vlade Divac way back in the day.
And then also, too, what was that year when Dwayne Wade, just in the championship, just lived at the free throw line? They were kind of making comparisons to that, too. So, again, to answer your question, yeah, he's deserving of it. However, his game, and the referees allowing him to get away with the flopping, that's on Main Street as well, too, right now.
Yeah.
What did you say, Rod?
So, first of all, SGA deserved it. He was the best player on the best team in the NBA, okay? We said the same thing with Nikola Jokic when Jokic got it, and, he was at the time they won the championship that year. So there's that. There's no debate with the MVP, none. So I don't even know why people are trying to bring that stuff up. SGA's averaging close to 30 a game. Now, I get exhausted when I hear, the flopping and all of that. Name me a player who hasn't done it, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to take advantage. He's going to get it, but he's going to take advantage of the calls. If the officials are going to give it to him, then I'm going to keep doing it. If it's not broke, then don't fix it. Okay, I didn't like it when they played the Cavaliers, and I felt like there was ticky-tack fouls called against SGA. But that's not SGA's fault. If they're gonna call it, they call it. Okay,
that's the referees. I put it on the refs.
Yeah, if the officials are gonna call that, then they call that. And guess now, my only problem would be, because this is my basketball mind. Okay, if you're gonna give SGA those calls, I'm telling my point guard, I want you to do the same thing that he's doing. Dude, I want you to lean into somebody. Jerome was great at that.
Yes,
Jerome. Your point guard ain't as popular as his. Your point guard ain't, the league MVP.
Now, I would have a problem if my point guard is doing the same thing and not getting those calls. Now we're talking preferential treatment. There's my problem there. However, if they're going to call that on both ends, take advantage of it. I say take advantage. Just like you said, James Harden is like a mop. He's a premier flopper.
Yeah.
He wins the Academy Award for flopping. But that's where this basketball is right now. This basketball is where do you think Michael Jordan would have done that stuff? No. Michael Jordan was getting hacked. Shaquille O'Neal was getting chopped like a tree. Those fouls was legitimate fouls. You look at, and you can rightfully look at a lot of SGA's fouls and say, what happened here? What's going? But that's the way the league is today. They want those superstars to, because it's the next generation. Okay.
And Brunson gets away with it too.
Yeah.
Brunson's probably just as bad as SGA.
Just as bad. Yeah.
Right, you know what I'm saying? And once Victor Wembanyama figures it out, guess what calls he's going to start getting? They want the stars to be stars. And when when the star is no longer a star, because those fouls that they used to get, they don't get anymore. So watch when Giannis starts to decline. Them straight line drives that he used to get chopped, and he's not going to get those anymore. It kind of happened this year. He wasn't getting those same calls. So, no, I'm with L Train. I blame the officials. I don't blame SGA. Take advantage of what they give you.
Yeah. Who wins this, fellas? Hot take. Hi, we ain't going to hold you accountable for this, but if you had to pick your NBA champion right now, man, who wins the title?
Right now, I'd have to say Indiana because they're playing the best. I'd have to say Indiana.
That's where I'm leaning.
Contraire mon frère.
What
that mean, Rod?
You cannot disregard the Oklahoma City Thunder. I'm telling you, don't get me wrong. I know, and I'm rooting for Minnesota. I want to see Ant get to that next level, but you cannot deny when Oklahoma City is functioning on all cylinders, they are hard to beat. And you're asking Minnesota to do the same thing they did in Game 3 and Game 4, and you know Oklahoma City are going to make adjustments because the biggest thing with OKC is they hang their heads on defense. I will say this. The winner of the Western Conference Finals will be the NBA champion. I don't think Indiana can deal with Ant and Minnesota, and I definitely don't think they can deal with OKC in a 7-game series. So whoever comes...
My eye test tells me Indiana's ready for any smoke coming their way.
Yeah, I can't disregard what Oklahoma City has done. They didn't they didn't come in the playoffs and poo-poo it away like our beloved Cavaliers. Okay, we got to get that out of our system. All right, because rightfully it should be Cleveland and OKC for the NBA title. That's what it should be, but it's not because Cleveland tinkled away their chance. I cannot dissipate what Oklahoma City has done. And as much as I want to see the Minnesota Timberwolves beat them, that's hard for me to ride and say that they're going to do that. I
change your mind because I think Minnesota's going to get them tomorrow night. Minnesota's going to get OKC again tomorrow night. And you're going to change your mind, Rod. You're going to change your mind. I'll text you.
Everything is subject to change, T.
Yeah, this is fluid. What does Stephen A. say? This is fluid. This is fluid. The only reason why I go Indiana is because, like, what is your team going to be when you have a dry spell? Like Indiana, the way their system is, they don't have many dry spells. You can look at OKC. I think OKC is the more talented team. If you look at their roster from top to bottom, they are the most talented team out of the 4 that are left. But the Pacers have that system, man. They can score. So when you can't have a bad quarter against them. If you have a bad quarter against them where your threes aren't falling, you're not scoring, you decide not to play defense, you decide to have a lack of focus in a game, that's where Indiana always keeps coming at you. Look at what they did against the Milwaukee Bucks. Look at what they did against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Those moments when you think you got the game wrapped up, here comes the Pacers, man. And I think when you have that mindset and that system in place, that is just going to be hard to beat. It is the main reason why I don't think the Minnesota Timberwolves can win the series, man. I hope I'm wrong. I just know Minnesota has their moments, and you guys have watched the games, where they just don't score or they just have a lack of focus.
And turn the ball over, too. That's what gives me. They turn the ball over.
Yeah, all over. I don't see that from Indiana a lot. Every team does it. I just don't see it from them a lot. And I think that's what makes them the most potent team left in the playoffs, man. If I had to pick, I would go Indiana.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna be the lone wolf on my island with my stick and my flag.
But it's fluid, Rod. It's fluid.
No, I got it. I that's what I'm gonna do. But I feel like OKC has been through the wars. The only thing that I will question if they make it to the NBA Finals against the Pacers is coaching experience. I think Rick Carlisle is head and shoulders above in terms of coaching experience, in terms of championship pedigree. You know, but if you want to just go 5-on-5, I cannot disregard Oklahoma City.
Yeah. I got, my big brother called me, Greg, and he wanted us to talk about this on the show. So, when the big brother calls, I gotta get his topic on the show. We're going to flip the football a little bit. He wanted us to talk a little bit about the Cleveland Browns. And he asked me this question, and I said, well, you know what? I'm not going to give you the answer. I'm going to give it to the fellas and see what they think. He wanted to know, because he had heard some rumors and some rumblings. You know how social media is and all this stuff. Is there any way that Shedeur Sanders is not on this roster next year? Is there a chance, even if it's a small one, is there a chance that he gets cut? Is there a chance that he gets traded? For me, the way I don't think there's any chance in the short term that he's not on this roster. As a matter of fact, I think he's going to push Joe Flacco to start. I still give the edge to Joe Flacco, but I think he's going to be pushed a little bit in training camp. I think we're going to see that play out. But going back to Greg's question, is there any way he's not on this roster to start the season.
I hope not. And I wonder where Greg is hearing that from. Where's Greg getting this from? Let me call my best friend and ask him where he's getting this from. Lionel, I hope not. Okay. Now Rod, he listens to KNR and his buddy Tony Grossi and all this kind of stuff. So maybe Rod knows something we don't know. But I hope not. Real talk, I want the best quarterback under season.
That's right.
At the very beginning.
Right.
I want the best quarterback. No expectations for our Cleveland Browns this year. I have no expectations. Third and last, like Rod say, I love a comeback story. I'm rooting for the guy that went in the 5th round. I'm rooting for him. But to answer your question, I hope that's not the case. I hope not. But Rod, tune in to KNR and Grossi and them. Let's see what Rod has to say.
So, is there a possibility of Shedeur not being on his team? Yeah, it's always a possibility. Now, the operative question is, will it? Will he be on the team? Yes, he's going to be on the team. They're not going to carry 4 quarterbacks. So then the next question you ask is, who's the odd man out?
Kenny Pickett.
And that's who I'm leaning on. I'm leaning on Kenny Pickett being the odd man out, because if you get rid of Kenny Pickett, what did you lose? You lost a 5th round pick and DTR, which we didn't want DTR anyway, or else we wouldn't have traded. Okay, so Kenny Pickett to me is on the hot seat. Joe Flacco is in the lead simply because he knows this Kevin Stefanski 11 personnel offense. He understands play action. He understands what to do in that moment. He knows the offense backwards and forwards. They gave him, he's got 2 stud running backs in Terrence from Tennessee and Quinshon Judkins from Ohio State. Be on the lookout for Jerome Ford not to be on his team. I don't think they're going to carry him as a 3rd running back. He did take a pay cut, but I don't see him being on the final roster. But Kenny Pickett I think Kenny Pickett's on the hot seat. And I think Kenny Pickett knows that.
Yeah.
They're not going to get rid of Dylan Gabriel. He is a 3rd round pick. They're just not going to do it. And of course, I said Shedeur that's a Jimmy Haslam pick. I don't care what nobody says. That's a Jimmy Haslam pick. Okay? Yeah. But Shedeur, since he's gotten to Cleveland, has done everything right. He's done everything right. When he's done interviews,
early every morning, I hear.
Yes,
early every
he's
morning.
done everything right. And Kevin Stefanski did a press tour last week. He was on KNR. He was on other 92.3 The Fan. He loves Shedeur. He says Shedeur has done everything that they have asked him to do. He is the first one there. He's the last one to leave. He's been getting extra reps. He's proven himself. They're not going to release him. They're not going to cut him. They can't put him on a practice squad because he would have to clear waivers to get on a practice squad. If Shedeur Sanders was put on waivers, somebody, i.e. the New Orleans Saints, will pick him up. Okay? So I do see Joe Flacco starting. I do see Shedeur being the backup. I think he's going to outplay Kenny Gabriel. I really do. I just think he's going to outplay him, okay?
I can see that.
Regardless of how hard Tony Grossi tries to make Shedeur seem as if he is a subpar quarterback, okay? He is not. He's better than Dylan Gabriel right now. Zach Jackson has, from The Athletic, talked about it. His passing is more accurate. He was the most accurate passer in college football. So what made you think that he wasn't going to be the most accurate? He'll be the most accurate passer in the NFL. The only reason that Shedeur Sanders will not start for the Browns is because of Joe Flacco and his experience and him understanding the offense. Now, if Joe Flacco come up with a herniated disc or a groin, or he wake up wrong one morning and he can't move his neck, whatever. I mean, he's 40 years old. So I believe, and I also believe that the fans of Cleveland want Shedeur Sanders. They want him as the quarterback. Yeah. If the Browns won 3 games last year, he can do no worse. Behind this line with these running backs.
No way but up.
Yeah, he can't do any worse. So to answer your brother's question, which is a great question, is there a possibility that he could be cut? Yes. Will the Browns do it? If they trying to get into Brook Park Stadium, they will not do it.
Wouldn't be a smart move.
No, not at all.
I got
There's
some
your
rapid
answer, Greg.
Yeah, there it is, Greg. There it is. I got some rapid fire topics. I just want to hit with you guys. Give me your short thoughts on these. A lot of this has been made about the tush push. Tush push is deemed a legal play in the NFL. Give me your quick thoughts about what you think about the tush.
Well, I really don't have much to say because we don't use it. I don't think we use it. It seems to work for Philly, and I heard that we voted for it because Stefanski likes those guys up in Philly. He knows them, so
Yeah.
I really have no input because again, my team doesn't use it. I just, like I said, I think I texted you guys. I don't want in basketball for a short guy that can't dunk. They run up and let him jump in their hands and dunk the ball. I see that gimmick, in basketball. But get the tush push, again, we don't utilize it. I'm okay with it.
My thing is stop it. Find a way to stop it. Figure it out. When Lawrence Taylor was on the outside, Bill Walsh had to bring in a fullback to be able to help his left tackle stop Lawrence Taylor.
There you go.
So they're the 46 defense. Teams had to figure out how to stop it. They realized that Wilbur Marshall and that Mike Singletary couldn't cover. So then they went to a ghost personnel, and they made them have to come out and cover. So if you don't like the tush push, figure it out.
Stop it.
Okay? All it is a bunch of sumo wrestling. Figure it out. Okay? That's to me, that's what it is. And Kevin, the Browns voted for it. Don't be surprised to see the Browns do it. Okay? Because the best way to stop the tush push is, it's almost like, real quick, L Train, it's like when we coach basketball. Teams that press don't like to be pressed.
Don't like to be pressed. Yeah. And I'll say this. I'm going to acquiesce to Rodney Young on this one because you've coached the game of football. I've never coached a game of football. So a lot of my takes when it comes to the nuances of football, the X's and O's of football, I'm not at that level to be able to say whether it's an advantage or a disadvantage. So I'm going to listen to Rod when it talks about, all of the X's and O's. I will say this, though. Here's my stance on it. I think the NFL somewhat are hypocrites in this department. They're talking about making the game safer, all the targeting rules in NFL and stuff like this. I don't want to see any long faces when somebody gets hurt because the one thing that I can look is the optics of the play. And I don't think it's the safest play in the world. Right. So if you're going to take that stance, NFL, because I think there's a lot of rules, especially with the quarterbacks now, where you really can't even land on top of the quarterback. Right. I mean, that's a 15-yard penalty if you land on the quarterback wrong. So NFL, God forbid somebody gets hurt on the NFL field, but you're putting this play into place. And it just doesn't seem safe to me. And then my second take is this. All the NFL teams that voted against it, you better not use it during the season.
No, they're going to. L-Trade. They're going to.
Yeah.
I know they are. They're hypocrites too. So if you're going to vote against something because you feel like you're at a disadvantage or whatever your stance is, I better not see the Green Bay Packers.
You will see it. You will.
I agree with you.
If you can't beat them, join them.
Join them.
Yeah. Hey, more news came out about the 2028 Olympics going to flag football. And now they're going to allow the NFL players to play into that. I guess I need a little bit more information. I want to know who the NFL is going to be playing against, like what caliber of players. I really don't know that when it comes to flag football. But my question to you guys is should NFL players be allowed to play in that? And would you want your best players playing in that?
I want my best players playing in that. I really don't. I need you for the real deal, the regular season, okay? Now, I know it's all about the flag. It's all about our country. I get that. But I don't want my best NFL players playing. There's a ton of other talent here in America that can go over there and play. There's a lot of other guys that are on the practice squad and playing in these other leagues. Let them go and play it. I don't want my, first string quarterback or wide receiver or tight end or cornerback over there playing. No, I don't want to see it. I don't.
I will leave it at this. Quick take. There is no way that I would want to see Myles Garrett playing in a flag football game and I'm paying him $40 million a year.
Exactly.
You got to be crazy. It's not going to be any kind of world supremacy if I lose a flag football game in the Olympics. I could care less. So that, to me, is a marketing ploy by the NFL. There's no way. You got the You got, you can take XFL players and send them. Can you imagine
Arena League guys.
Yeah.
Right? Can you, L Train? Can you imagine Justin Jefferson playing in the Olympics?
He's talking about playing, man. He's talking about playing.
Yeah, and I'm sure that the Vikings management is going to be like, no, sir, no, contraire mon frere, because if he tears his ACL or rips his knee up, then we got a problem.
Which
the answer
can
is
happen,
no.
Yeah,
no, and that's all it's going to take is that one NFL player is going to go and he's going to get seriously injured. That's what's going to happen. Okay, so they're not thinking ahead. So absolutely not. If I'm an owner, I don't care what the commissioner said. Not on this team. If you want to get cut, then go ahead and play flag. Let me see you do that.
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers, fellas, and I mean, people have beat this thing to death. We don't have to spend a whole lot of time on it, really. Is Aaron Rodgers going to be a Steeler, man, by the end of this whole thing when it plays out?
I'm not a Steeler fan, but go ahead and join the Steelers. Go ahead and join. So we can go ahead and beat you all twice this next season. Yeah, 2 games, beat them twice. I don't know. And I love Mike Tomlin. He's from this area here. William and Mary grad, pride of the 757. And consistently, 17, 18? Well, how many years in a row has he had a winning season? Yeah, 17, 18 years. This has to be above his head because I know he doesn't want to be bothered with Aaron Rodgers and stuff.
That's a great
I know he
point.
doesn't want to be bothered with it. But go ahead. I don't root for that team, so go ahead and be their quarterback. I don't root for them.
If Aaron Rodgers shows up, it will be like after training camp. He's not going to go through an entire training camp. He's earned that right. Do I believe that he'll be a Pittsburgh Steeler? I think he's got them waiting in the wings for a reason. I think they want to see what Will Howard is going to do. Because I'm going to be honest with you, I hate saying this because he's an old State guy. I see a lot of Big Ben in Will Howard. I just do. Big quarterback, can move, can throw the ball. I can see it. Very intelligent, very smart.
I want to see that.
So, no, me neither. So, yes, bring on Aaron Rodgers. Because Aaron can't move in the pocket anymore. That'll be a feast for Myles Garrett on the edge, and so, but I really think, I agree with you, T. I think this is not a Mike Tomlin call. Because Mike Tomlin is not going to waste his time waiting on Aaron Rodgers. I don't think this is his call. I think this is the upper management's call, that they're going to wait on him. Because to be perfectly honest, there's no other options for them other than Will Howard. There's no other option. There's not a quarterback walking on the street that they can go pull. They're not going to waste draft picks.
They should have kept Justin Fields.
I agree.
Right
there. They should have kept Justin Fields. I don't understand that. If you were going to let Russell Wilson walk, then that means you should have put your money into Justin Fields, okay? But I don't care because they're the Pittsburgh Steelers. I want them to suck. Please, bring Aaron Rodgers on. Hey, check this out. Go dig up Lynn Swann. Bring him back. How about John Stallworth? Let him walk through the door. I could care less about the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's I'm so exhausted. My care factor for the Pittsburgh Steelers is so low. And then you got the Aaron Rodgers topic. I had to deal with it because rumor had it that he was coming to my Vikings. And, I really didn't want that. I'm ready. Since I got up here in 1991, we really haven't had that franchise, 10-year quarterback. We've had some really good stopgaps. Dante Culpepper was one. Teddy Bridgewater was another one. Ultimately, knee injuries killed them with the Minnesota Vikings. And then we had patchwork, Randall Cunningham, Brett Favre, all of that stuff. So I'm really looking forward to seeing J.J. McCarthy and what he can do for the Minnesota Vikings, man. Lots of stuff to talk about. I got to get to my start one, bench one, cut one, erase one, fellas. And I'm going to go a different route with you guys. I'm going to blindside you a little bit. I'm going to go outside of the sports realm. I'm going to go outside of the sports realm. So for this start one, bench one, cut one, erase one, 3 to Hardway Nation out there, and for my guys, T and Hot Rod, I'm going to go with black actors. I'm always in for a good movie. My wife and I like to go to the movies. I got my favorite actors. But here are the 4 actors that you got to consider when it comes to start one, bench one, cut one, erase one. The first one is my boy Denzel Washington. He's a legend. Two-time Oscar-winning Training Day, Malcolm X, Fences, The Equalizer.
Cry
so on.
freedom.
There you go. So on and so on and so on, my guy Denzel Washington. That's the first one. My second one is Samuel L. Jackson. Now, you're talking about a box office king, over 150 films, Pulp Fiction. He's been in the Marvel series, I think the Avengers, Coach Carter. Just an iconic, unforgettable actor. Okay, number 3 is my guy, Morgan Freeman. You know, for those of you that want to go like way back in the day, old school, I used to watch a show that used to come on after Sesame Street called The Electric Company.
Electric Company.
Electric Company, yeah.
Yeah, Electric Company, baby.
Some people say that Morgan Freeman is the voice of wisdom. Films, Shawshank Redemption, Bruce Almighty, $1 Million Baby. I mean, you name it. Morgan Freeman. And then my fourth one is a guy that's on the come up. I mean, he's there, but I think when he's done, he's going to be iconic as well, is my guy, Michael B. Jordan. Michael B. Jordan, you know, Fruitvale Station is one of my favorite films. I hated the topic, but great film. You know, Black Panther, Creed, you name it. Michael B. Jordan, one of the hottest black actors going right now. So you got 4 actors, man. Denzel, Samuel L., Morgan Freeman, Michael B. Jordan, fellas. Who wants to go first?
Go ahead, Rod. This is a tough one.
All right, here we go. You know me, I'm the controversial one, so I just go ahead and I just rip them off. So of course, I'm starting Denzel. All right, I am going to bench Morgan Freeman.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to cut Samuel L. Jackson, and I am going to erase Michael B. Jordan.
Wow. Okay, I'm going to be a little controversial like Rod there. I'm going to start Mr. Morgan Freeman, okay?
Okay.
I'm going to start Mr. Morgan Freeman. I'm going to bench Denzel. Going to bench Denzel as great as he is. Going to bench him. I'm going to cut Samuel L. and erase the young boy, Michael B. Jordan. That's what I'm going to do. This was
gotta
tough
erase the young boy. I'm sorry. With them heavy hitters, you gotta erase the young boy. He ain't done nothing yet.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna start with Michael B. Jordan. I am going to erase Michael B. Jordan. Let me say that I'm just gonna get rid of that one. Because the other 3 are really tough. So I'm gonna get rid of Michael B. Jordan, erase him. The actor that I'm going to start, man, I've got to give it to Denzel, because honestly, I'm gonna start Denzel. Honestly, I don't think Denzel has made a movie yet that I haven't liked. I'm trying to rack my brain on a movie that Denzel has made that I just haven't liked, and I don't think there is one.
What about the Hotel Rwanda? I just wasn't a fan of that one.
I like that. That was all right.
Okay.
That wasn't my favorite.
Yeah,
that wasn't my favorite. Yeah, that's a good one. Wasn't my favorite, but I liked it. And then the second part of this, man, is Morgan Freeman and Samuel L. Jackson. Samuel L. is a really versatile actor. Same with Morgan Freeman. I got to go with benching Samuel L. Jackson.
Oof.
That's tough for me, Rod.
Oof, yeah.
You know, I feel bad saying it. It's tough. I'm benching Samuel L. Jackson and cutting Morgan Freeman. And, of course, I erased Michael B. Jordan. Man, that was a tough one for me, and I came up with it.
Wow. Now, Rod, I think you said Hotel Rwanda. That had, what's the name in there? Don Cheadle. That was Don Cheadle.
Was that Don Cheadle?
That was
Don
Don
Cheadle.
That was
Denzel. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Don Cheadle, yeah.
I thought Denzel
apologize,
was in
movie
it.
fans.
Yeah.
Hey,
Cheadle.
y'all. Hey, 3 the hard way. Hey, I'm a sports guy, okay? I'm not, I'm not a movie critic.
Hey, let me tell you, though, this start one, bench one, cut one, erase one, it can apply to anything.
No doubt.
Don't think I won't think outside the box, man.
Well,
hey,
we see.
Hey, I might go with some soul food stuff some week. I might go with your favorite pies or whatever. I don't just stick to sports. I want to challenge the mind a little bit.
Okay. I dig it.
Yeah. Okay, fellas, let's hit our parting shots. Most significant thing in sports, I guess it doesn't have to be within the last week, but your most significant parting shot that you want to talk to 3 the Hard Way fans about?
Mine has to be, fellas, and Barrett, leaving the set of ESPN, okay?
Oh.
Oh, he's one of my favorites. When I first came to this area back in, I want to say back in 95, he used to be on the radio here, on local radio, okay? After he graduated from Howard University, he was on the radio. He was on Morning Drive. He and a guy by the name of Herman Hurston, they were on 103 Jams here in Norfolk, okay? And then he got his break and went on up to ESPN. But I love some Stan Verrett. He's originally, I believe, from Louisiana, okay? Went to school at Howard and then got his, found his mark up at ESPN. And I guess he was in Bristol or I think as of recently he was in LA. But Stan Verrett, I hate to see him go. I really do. I hate to see Stan Verrett go from ESPN. So shout out to Stan Verrett.
Yeah, that's a good one, man. That's a good one.
And my parting shot goes to Ryan Clark and Robert Griffin III.
Ooh.
This quote unquote beef that's taking place because of the Caitlin Clark Angel Reese situation to me is nonsensical foolishness. For me, being a black man and we're exploring in this industry, it's okay to disagree. It's okay to disagree with someone's take. I mean, as we continue along here, we're going to disagree with each other's takes. But just because I disagree with you, number one, I'm not going to make it personal. And number two, I don't hate you because I disagree with you. And that's what I think we're missing in this mass media now is people believe that just because I don't agree with your take, that I have some kind of animosity towards you. And I just urge, the mentors in this business to be able to sit these two young black gentlemen down and say, okay, enough is enough. Shout out to the late Bill Russell, because that's what Bill Russell used to do when there were certain beefs in the NBA amongst our black players, is Bill Russell would reach out and sit these guys down and tell them about the struggles that him and Chamberlain, and even Kareem in the beginning had to go through to be at that point. And so, unfortunately, Stephen A has kind of lost a little steam because he used to be that guy. But since his beef with LeBron, people are not really going after and looking for him. But, my parting shot is, look here, black man, let's get behind a closed door. We ain't got to have cameras. And let's sit and let's talk about it. Let's not get personal with everything. Let's not make this
L-Train talked about that 6 weeks ago. Rewind and go look at what L-Train said. He hit it spot on the head about 6 weeks ago, acting that way in front of everybody. L-Train talked about it.
Yeah, I just, for me, I'm like, look, like I said, we boys, we good. But that doesn't mean I got to agree with everything that each and every one of you say. And you don't have to agree with what I'm saying. We can respectfully disagree with one another and move on. At the end of the day, this is the world of sports. This is not life in general. And so I think we take that platform, and of course it's the leader in sports, it's ESPN, but they take that platform and it's overboard. So my shout out is for these two gentlemen to have a sit down with one another behind closed doors without no cameras and just talk it out.
Yep. My parting shot, goes to just all the racism stuff that's been coming out. There are two areas of our society where, there's a lot of racism stuff going on and people can debate that all day. This is not a political show, so we won't go there. But the one thing that I will say is this. I felt like a safe space where all kinds of people from different demographics can work together. And T, you probably can speak to this better than I can, is in the military and in sports. Those are safe places. When you give those two areas the eye test, they always pass the eye test. Now, I'm not ignorant enough to imply that there is no racism in the military and no racism in sports. That's not what I'm saying. But when you look at a visual, those two areas of our society seem to be able to put aside differences and work together for the greater good. The reason why I'm bringing that up, my parting shot is, I didn't like what happened to Draymond Green in Minneapolis. Draymond Green had an incident with an official where he got really, really hot, and he went back to his exercise bike. And supposedly there were some fans in Minneapolis in the stands that were saying some disparaging remarks to him, some racist remarks to him. And Minneapolis is better than that. Minneapolis is better than that. And it was shameful to hear about, and it was shameful to see. And then you look at the WNBA. You had a big game last week with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, and now there's this investigation. that there were a lot of things said to Angel Reese while she was playing
Shame.
in that game. Just shameful to watch. The one area that should be a safe place is sports. You know, where
Right.
everybody can put together, you know, put aside their stresses of a long work week or however you choose to escape your everyday, day-to-day life. That shouldn't filter into sports, man. And it's just been shameful to watch. And I just want to make people aware of it and just know, as human beings, we can do better, especially in that element. Sports are not so important where you have to go to the extreme and start, you know, saying things that you shouldn't be saying and have those racial connotations come into the game. I think it's shameful to hear about, and I think it's shameful to watch. So NBA, NBA, clear that stuff up, man. Talk to your event staff. If you get people in the stands that are doing that stuff, get them out of there, man, because it's not a good look.
There you go.
I agree. I absolutely agree. That's a great take, L-Train.
Well, fellas, thanks again for another great show. This is 3 the Hard Way. Hey, all of our subscribers out there, please hit that like and subscribe button, share, hit that notification button, tell your friends about our show. This thing is growing and growing every week. These are our early shows, so about a year from now, it's going to be interesting to look back on how we started because we're going to get this thing rolling and continue to roll in the right way. T, Rod, I appreciate you guys being on it, man.
Appreciate y'all too. Appreciate you
Appreciate
too,
y'all.
L-Train.
Hey, have a happy Memorial Day, but a real quick
Be
shout
safe.
out to the men and women who laid down their lives for us to be able to do what we're doing right now and to have
Absolutely.
the freedoms that we have right now. So it's just not about going outside and barbecuing, y'all. It's about just honoring those that gave their lives for this country. So happy Memorial Day, and everybody please enjoy.
Yes, sir. T, thank you for your service as well, my
Yes,
friend.
sir.
I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Y'all were worth protecting, and the rest of the folks in America worth protecting.
Awesome. Well, we'll see you guys next week. This has been 3 the Hard Way. We will see you when we see you.
See ya.
See
Take
ya.
care.